to take my grandmother to the hospital.
Okay. Do I need to say it? All right, welcome back to another School Principal Reacts. This is Brandon, an education administrator from the U.S. state of Georgia, and I'm watching Victorious again today. This episode title I saw was Prom Wrecker, which I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm assuming we're going to be talking about prom, which when I was a high school principal, I dealt with many, many times. Also, when I was an assistant principal, I would always have to go to prom, including when I was at the art school that I worked at as an assistant principal for 2 years of my career. That's very much like Hollywood Arts. I can't wait to see what their prom was like and if it was in any way like the proms that I attended at the art school that I worked at. I see in this random still frame, I see Sinjin, and I think that's Rex over to the left, and Jade, who looks very angry here, and I'm assuming this is Tori. So not many clues here. It looks like they're in the black box, so it looks like we're going to have some more school scenes than the previous episode, but I can't wait to get into this episode with you. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, especially if you tune in every Tuesday for these Victorious reactions, please do yourself a favor, and do me a favor, honestly, it does help the channel out for you to subscribe. Click the button below to do so, but without further ado, let's get straight into this episode.
Hi.
Shh, not now. Look.
And by the way, most school handbooks have policies against PDA in various forms, including this. Andre could get himself in trouble for doing this. Would he be suspended? Maybe, maybe not. It sort of depends on the school's policy and handbook language, but I'll probably give him a potential suspension here. Obviously, you're not allowed to do this.
Should I ask why you want blood, a drill, and a clown suit?
It's for a live performance I'm doing.
What's it about?
A clown and a parachute
Live performance.
that doesn't open.
What's it called? Clowns don't bounce.
And honestly, I have had students that were sort of into the horror genre before. Many people are. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that, depending on how far you go with it. That's really the key. And if you remember the episode I reacted to called Walk Star, Jade did have a production that the school thought was too edgy or not appropriate. That does happen, and you might say, well, you know, it's her artistic expression. But they are still high school students. They're still children, technically. They don't like being called that all the time, but it's true. They are high school students, and so there are certain things that you can't delve into, particularly things that are very, very violent. You're just not going to be able to do that. Now, at an art school like this, you probably have more leeway than you would at a traditional high school because of that artistic expression, and that's what they're there for. However, there are still limits to that, and what she's describing and what was portrayed on that little flyer may be too edgy for the school. And honestly, I mean, a lot of people are not into that. It's really more of a niche thing. You're not going to have the entire school that's going to be into that, so I understand that as well. But it's really more because they're still high school students that you may not be able to do this in school.
Wait, what do you mean there's no prom at Hollywood Arts?
There isn't. There's never been one.
You're sure there's never been a prom here? With coyotes and a big pile of burning tires?
I don't know what he's talking about. Does he think prom means something else? That's weird. And I remember from a previous episode that he's taught there for 10 years, and he should know whether or not there's been a prom or not if he's been there for that long. There are some things that art schools do not have that other schools may have, particularly in the area of athletics. The art school that I worked at as an assistant principal, they did have athletics, but they didn't have like the traditional ones that you see at most U.S. high schools, like football, American football, of course, baseball, and some of the others they just didn't have. They had athletics, but they had some different ones. But prom, they definitely had. I distinctly remember going to 2 different proms at the art school where I worked. That I remember distinctly.
This doesn't ring a bell?
No, I don't think that stuff happens at proms.
Yeah.
I want to have one. Here.
Okay.
Oh, well, you need to talk to the head of student activities.
You need to talk to the principal. You need to talk to the principals who you need to talk to.
I am, right now.
Is that him? Psychowitz.
Psychowitz, you're the head of student activities.
And, you know, prom is a bit different. You know, if you wanted to have a little event at school or an after-school meeting or even start a new club, well, the principal would have to be involved in that as well. But something small, if you had a role like this, yeah, you could go to them. Now, prom is a bit different. Prom is probably the biggest event of the year at most high schools, or one of the biggest events, right on par with graduation, homecoming, Prom is way, way up there. You're not going to be able to deal with psychoids on this, but you're going to deal with the principal. Now, I've only seen the principal of Hollywood Arts twice, and the one that I remember resigned to go to Tahiti, was it? But psychoids being in charge of prom would be sort of crazy. I'm kind of worried about this.
Can we have a prom?
Psychoids.
Yes, it's got to either be this Saturday or last Tuesday.
Okay. Are they going to try and have a prom in less than a week? Normally, proms are planned months and months in advance, if not a whole year in advance. Very often, they will set the date of the prom like a whole year in advance sometimes, depending on the school, depending on how they do it. Prom is very much a school-by-school kind of thing, but typically months and months in advance, there's going to be a lot of planning that goes into it because many times schools will pay to have it at a certain venue. Now, I've seen it where schools have it at the school as well because you don't have to pay for that. Now you still have to pay for typically a DJ and maybe the food and whatever else you may have for the students. But prom is a very expensive and planned event. You can't have it in less than a week. If you did, it would be, in my opinion, pretty shabby. I guess we'll see what they end up doing. Plus, you have to go through all the inviting of guests, and there's criteria for guests. You can't just bring anybody you want. Most schools that I have been at do allow outside guests, but you have to be below a certain age, and you have to have some sort of letter from your school's principal or some kind of form signed off by them stating that you're in good standing, meaning that you're not a troublemaker who's going to cause problems there at the prom.
This Saturday? But that only gives us like 5 days to get everything
That's
ready.
insane.
Then you best hurry.
Okay. I can do this. Just a couple questions.
Please.
What do you mean I can do this? Tori's not going to be planning this. I guess she is, in this episode. But in real life, the kids do not plan the prom. Now, I have seen the faculty sponsor of the prom, which is what you have, either a faculty sponsor or like a whole group, a whole committee that maybe has one leader that kind of heads it up. And maybe they get feedback from the students, particularly on like what the theme is going to be, where it's going to be sometimes, or when the date is going to be, but especially the theme. The kids usually pick the theme of the prom if it has a particular theme. But as far as them like planning it and putting the whole thing together, no, I've never seen that. It's always a faculty sponsor.
To take my grandmother to the hospital.
Oh, sure.
He's barefoot. Okay. Do I need to say it? That's a potential firing. I thought he was just saying he needed to go home and, pick her up in his car. But if she's lying there and she needs to go to the hospital, there are a multitude of issues there. Why is she there? Is she in some sort of medical danger and she's at the school in that condition and there's kids around? There's a host of issues, but that is going to be a potential firing, Psychowitz. You can't do that.
I didn't know she was here.
It's okay, neither does she.
It's not okay. It's not okay, Psychowitz. It's not okay.
All right, I created this little computer model of the Asphalt Cafe.
That's where we have lunch.
You gonna talk about this prom or what?
A lot of people have told me they don't want Hollywood Arts to have a normal prom. So the first idea I came up with is we call it a prom.
A prom?
Right?
Sounds weird.
Decorations. Any ideas for a prom theme?
What if the theme was like space pirates, from outer space? Oh, and there could also be kangaroo babies.
What in the world? And I did mention before, the kids usually pick the theme of the prom, but in this case, they're not only doing that, they're planning the whole entire thing, which is sort of crazy. It's not sort of crazy, it's really crazy and totally unrealistic. But Tori seems to be heading it up well. I guess she wants to use the Asphalt Cafe, which is where they eat lunch, and schools using their own facilities as a venue is really common. Many schools do go someplace else and you have to pay for that, and it's often very expensive, so they can mitigate that or lower costs by having it at one of their own district-owned facilities and just paying for other things that they might need, again, like the DJ, food, and other decorations.
Andre!
Yeah, rubber band.
Yeah, I'm going to give him another potential suspension for this, for Andre. And there needs to be someone in here that's a faculty member, not only to supervise this meeting, because I'm assuming they're either still in school or it's right after school, but they're still at school. You can't just have a ton of students meet together with no faculty member around or staff member around. That's really not going to be allowed at every school I've ever been at. But you're, again, going to have a faculty sponsor for this prom business. But I'll stop talking about that. It's obvious they're not going to do it that way, and they're just going to have the students plan it.
Next, we should probably talk about... Hey,
Oh,
Jade,
no.
did you want to join?
Oh, no.
You just had to have your stupid prom this Saturday night?
Oh, is that her show? And I didn't read about this episode beforehand, but I remember her talking about the show. I thought she was about to get a potential suspension there, and she sort of closed the laptop. That's not going to get her in trouble there, but I thought she was going to punch her or something based on the look on Jade's face. I do remember her talking about her live show that she was all into. I'm guessing it's the same day. They didn't really say when it was that I can remember. Maybe she did, and I just don't remember it. But now she is pretty ticked. Let's see what happens.
I was supposed to do my performance this Saturday night. Now Psychoid says I can't because you booked the Asphalt Cafe for your stupid prom.
And Psychowitz, I don't know why he would weigh in on that. I can't imagine what she described being a school-sanctioned performance unless he, has control of the venue or whatever, has to be there. That's really weird. I don't see the school sanctioning what she was describing, but maybe they are. Let's see what happens next. Hopefully she doesn't get a potential suspension out of whatever's about to happen here.
Prom.
Cancel it!
No! No? No!
No?
No. Okay.
Have your prom. But know this, you're gonna wish you didn't.
Is this going to be a threat? Is this going to be a threat? Watch it, Jade. You wish you didn't. And that's not specific enough. There have been many, many times in my career, unfortunately, that people have made threats, but it's not quite specific enough where we could do much about it. And students would come and say they made a threat, and it's sort of vague. It's got to be specific. And here's why. Because if it goes to an administrative hearing or even court at some much later point, you've got to be able to prove it. And Jade said, you'd wish you didn't. Now, an ordinary person would think that would sound mildly threatening, and especially knowing Jade's personality, I would say so. But if I'm Jade or if I'm Jade's parents and I get called in on it or they try to suspend me for making a threat, I'm going to say, you'd wish you didn't. I didn't mean anything by that. I didn't mean I was going to hurt her if she didn't comply with what I wanted. I just meant that, she'll wish she didn't. In hindsight, she would wish that she had planned it for a different day because that different day would be better for her prom or whatever. That's all I meant. I didn't mean to suggest that I would ever harm Tori, and the school would have a really hard time suspending her or taking any other action because of that. Now, I don't know what Jade's gonna do at this point. If she does something or says more, that would change the equation, certainly.
I don't know if maybe you want to go to the prom with me?
Robbie, I'd love to go to the prom with you, but another boy already asked me.
Did he?
Really? Who?
Tug.
Tug. Oh, man. And this does happen in high schools. I have served in high schools for a long time as a teacher starting in 2005 and as administrator starting in 2016. This stuff does happen when it comes to prom. I mentioned earlier that proms are planned long in advance, and so consequentially, that means that students have a long time to consider, am I going to prom? Who am I going to the prom with? At most schools that I've ever worked at, only juniors and seniors can buy tickets to the prom, and then if you're a freshman or a sophomore, really your only chance of going to the prom is being invited by one of the juniors or seniors. And so asking people to the prom and being accepted or rejected by that and who's already been asked by who is a subject of conversation in schools, especially in the springtime when most proms usually happen. And Kat just needs to be honest with Robbie. Kat does not have to go to the prom with him, obviously, but she just says, hey, I'm hoping someone else will ask me, or I have a particular person that I want to go with, and I hope I'll see you there, and maybe I'll be able to dance with you for one of the dances if you want, if she wants to go there, but just simply be honest with him and say, hey, I know there's someone else out there that could probably go with you, but I have someone else in mind. She just needs to be honest with him.
Tug?
Yeah, he goes to Burbank High. He's a football player.
You've never mentioned Tug before.
I know, I just met him at the mall. He works at Bed Bath & Yonder.
Bed Bath and Beyonder. That's a little close, Victorious. That's probably a little too close. I don't know if Bed Bath & Beyond had a problem with that when this episode came out, but okay. And students inviting kids from other high schools to prom is a very common thing. I mentioned before that most schools have a process for that. You have to have something from your school if you're going to another school's prom stating that you're in good standing. In most cases, what that means is you're not failing classes and you don't have a ton of write-ups, because obviously Hollywood Arts is not going to know about the disciplinary history of any of these other students, and they don't want troublemakers at their prom, or their prom, I guess, in this case.
I wish I asked her before Tug did.
Dude, you've been lied to. Kat doesn't have a date to the prom.
She said she does.
Man, no one's named Tug.
I mean, There is that. Have you ever heard of someone named Tug? If you have, let me know in the comments. I never have. And again, I don't condone that. Kat doesn't have to go with him, but she should be able to be honest with him. Sinjin.
Hey, Sinjin?
Oh, hey.
What was that? That was disgusting. Why did they put that on there?
So, listen, I totally deserve to be prom queen, right?
Okay.
And I'm sure I'm gonna win, but since people are voting online, I was thinking...
She's going to have them hack it or manipulate the results. That does sound like Trina. Sounds exactly like Trina. And she's referring to prom king and queen. That is a real thing. And as principal, I do remember crowning the prom king and queen several times. Usually toward the middle or toward the end of the prom, we would have that. We would have the senior walk where we recognize the seniors, and we would also have the prom king and queen. I do remember that vividly, but apparently they're going to vote online, and she wants Sinjin to manipulate the results. I don't like the way this is going, but let's see what happens.
You could help, make sure I win.
What are you saying?
I want you to hack into the slap and rig the voting.
I'll do it if you'll be my prom date.
Oh.
Gross!
I know.
If Sinjin does this, that's going to be a potential suspension. I don't think he's ever gotten a potential suspension on this channel. Let's see what happens. And this is sort of a interesting little dynamic here between Trina and Sinjin. I didn't see this coming.
At least you'll definitely get to be the queen.
He knows how to push her buttons here.
All right.
But I want the full experience. You have to stay near me and talk to me and maybe share a laugh.
I guess she could probably handle that.
Deal.
Oh no, I had forgotten about whatever that is. That's pretty bad. Hopefully she doesn't renege at this point. That's pretty gross.
What is this?
It was meatloaf.
Oh, Sinjin, that's awful. And that's pretty bad, and ordinarily I might give her a potential suspension for that, but under these circumstances, I'm gonna cut her some slack. All right, here we go. Yeah, and this does look very typical. They did a good job decorating. There is often a lot of decorating that takes place, whether you're using an outside venue or the school's venue. I've attended numerous proms, some in the outside venue. And if you get an outside venue, oftentimes it's part of your payment to the venue that they will do the decorating, or maybe you come in and add some items that are specific to the school that the venue would not be able to recreate. But if you're doing it at your venue, you're responsible for that. Obviously, I've had proms in school cafeterias, proms at high school gyms, proms at other types of school-owned facilities. So it is to your advantage because obviously you don't have to pay for that, but all of these decorations had to be set up by the school staff, or I guess in this case by the students.
Sinjin, do not lick the balloons!
That's pretty gross. And students do dress up like this. I saw some tuxes. I don't see a lot of tuxes at proms. I do see plenty of suits and prom dresses and other types of dresses. That's very, very common. Typically at schools, especially nowadays, you have to set a dress code, particularly for the ladies. I mean, there's dress codes for both, but the ladies and their dresses is what you have to go into. But everybody here looks great. It looks like a nice prom to me. Let's keep going.
Be free.
Sorry.
And you can't do that either. Is it a potential suspension? No. It could be. The school could go that far because what you have to remember, particularly at events like the prom and sporting events, athletics, anything that's a school-sanctioned activity, you can be held to the handbook for. So just remember that if you're a student or a staff member at like a football game, basketball game, you can be held accountable for your actions and you can be suspended from school for your actions at those type events. I've had to deal with that before as the principal. In this case, in real life, Andre would probably just be warned about this, and if he keeps it up, he would be kicked out of the prom. That's probably what they would do. They would not suspend him from school from this. They would just say, you know what? You're gone. You're kicked out of the prom. And, you don't want to have that happen. You want to be able to stay and enjoy the prom that you've worked so hard to put together.
Hey, who's your date?
Oh, I knew I forgot something.
There's no way she forgot that. I refuse to believe that, Tori. That's not true. To students, that is the number one thing, the number one most important thing, except for a very close second, getting your hair done. That's always a fight you also have with schools, is students that a couple of days before the prom or the day before the prom wanting to basically skip school or check out of school in order to go have their hair done and do all the things. So the timing of the prom does impact that also. There are schools out there that strategically place the prom where that won't be an issue as far as them doing all of those things off campus. But the fact that Tori forgot to get a date, I don't buy that, Tori. I don't think that would happen in real life.
Well, hey there, promers.
Oh no. I'm surprised Jade is here, honestly, but she must have something up her sleeve here.
What are you doing here? I didn't have anything else to do. Beck's in Canada and you got my performance canceled,
Beck's
so
in Canada.
here I am.
Oh yeah, there was another episode where he said he was born in Canada or whatever as part of some just antics that I don't think I even included it. But yeah, that is true. I do recall that.
Well, hey there, cat.
Hi.
Where's your date? Tug.
Tug.
Well, see, he wore this cool hat that spins and lights up, but the
Cat.
batteries died, so he went across the street to get
Cat.
new ones.
Cat.
What?
Nothing. I'm sure that's true.
Now, if this Tug really does exist, Robbie's going to get himself in trouble, because while all of that does sound really implausible, I personally don't believe it, but it theoretically could be true, I guess. And I'm assuming that it really is going to be true, that he is a football player from this other school. He really does work at Bed Bath & Beyonder. It's so funny. And he really does have the hat, and he really did have to go get battery replacements for the hat. Honestly, I have seen kids have that, or the school supplied it, where you would have like glow sticks and like glow glasses that like flashed and stuff like that. I have seen some pretty crazy things like Kat is describing. It's not all that unrealistic, actually.
It's true.
Come on, Rob. Let's move along.
I'm guessing it really is going to be true in the end. That'd be pretty funny.
It's getting a little too fibby around here.
I'm sorry, maybe it's not that funny, but the pear pad having the virtual soundboard on there, that's pretty good. Not the fact that it's a virtual soundboard, but the fact that it's a pear pad up there like that.
Okay, everyone.
Okay.
Welcome to the first ever Hollywood Arts Prom.
And where are the faculty members? The notion that you can have a prom or prom without any faculty supervision is even crazier than the students planning the prom themselves. You're still going to require some faculty or staff member supervision. I don't see any staff members, not even Psychoids, who's supposed to be the head of student activities, which is kind of ridiculous in and of itself. But I'm just going to try to go with it and be quiet and just sort of go with it here.
Okay, the band will be here soon, but until then, if you haven't voted for prom queen and king, you still have time.
Yes, remember to vote, because anyone can win.
Oh, Trina, you need to watch it. And you do have that, you know, the voting is typically not far in advance. It does happen pretty close to the prom or at the prom.
You can only vote for one queen and one king.
Uh-oh.
Okay, it looks like the electricity went
Oh, no. Oh, Jade. This is Jade, right? Ooh, this is Jade. Is she going to have some sort of hateful message? Or maybe she's going to have her production that she was going to have, or maybe both? I'm a little scared at this point.
Just relax until
It's the clown. Yeah,
Hey, what is that? It's freaking everybody out.
there's Jade.
Hey, Tori. How's your prom going?
Jade, this is a potential suspension. You can't do that, particularly because of the nature of the content that's on there. It's scaring people. It's making people feel uncomfortable. That's going to be a problem. You're probably scarring some people for life that are at the prom trying to have fun, and then they have to see like a baby's head and other things up there. That's not going to be allowed. She could not only get herself kicked out of the prom, but also probably suspended for that. Yeah, definitely.
Go home and miss the rest of this prom? I think the fun's just begun.
Oh, no.
Think again.
Nah, she would get kicked out immediately. But, you know, I don't see any staff members, which is crazy. I said it's even crazier than the students planning the prom themselves, which in and of itself is really insane. It would never, ever, ever happen in real life. I'll try to be quiet about that. Let's keep going. It's still going on? My goodness.
you done with your little sabotage game? Done with what?
And you would think that these kids, they're all just sort of standing around. They're going to have some technical expertise. They have all the theater kids there, the theater tech kids, I mean, and you have Sinjin that's there. They're going to know how to undo this. The fact that they're all just standing around looking at it is kind of insane.
Hey, Sinjin found the projector and killed the crazy video.
Yeah, there you go. Right after I said it. Yeah, I would assume he would be able to undo that.
Okay, people, this prom is back in action!
Oh, hey, did you call the band and find out why they're late?
Yeah, the manager said you called and canceled them.
Jade. That's a Jade. Once again.
Uh-oh. Looks like Tori Vega's prom is turning into one big boom-a-dee-boom.
And they already have music, like I hear it. You typically will have a DJ at prom, but being an art school, I can definitely get them having their own band. Come to think of it, I've never really thought about this or tried to remember, but I don't think we had a live band at the art school. I guess because if you're attending the prom, you probably don't want to have to like just play all night and not dance and not be with your date. You probably want to just enjoy the prom. So I don't remember having that. You typically just have a DJ. And I usually don't stop it at these, but Tori has to watch it. You can't say stuff like this. Now, Tori could plausibly argue that this is not a threat, but you really, really have to be careful. This is probably getting close enough to a threat, even if she didn't mean it that way. I've had plenty of kids that have said stuff like this and have genuinely, I believe, not meant it as a threat of violence, but then the other student can take that and use it against them and say, you know what? I felt threatened by this. It says, "Where are you?" all in caps. I will find you. Obviously, she wants to beat me up. And even if she doesn't believe that, she may say that if she dislikes her enough. I've seen that play out many, many times, too many times in real life. We in school administration just call this cyberbullying, but Tori just has to be careful. Is it a potential suspension? Not at this point. I think it's vague enough to where Tori could actually come back and say, if she were called into the principal's office, I just wanted to find her. Now, maybe I need to be careful about how I say it, but I just wanted to find her. I certainly didn't want to harm Jade, but you have to be careful. You do.
Yeah, I'm still pretty thirsty.
Wahoo Punch. That's another brand issue. This show is crazy when it comes to brands, from the Bed Bath & Beyonder to the Wahoo Punch, which I've seen before. Looks an awful lot like the branding and overall style of Hawaiian Punch. Does it not?
Give it back!
Sure.
Don't do it, Tori. I thought she was going to throw it on her, which would be a potential suspension. This, probably not.
Here. Thanks.
Okay. And would that be a potential suspension? Probably not. She might get some much lesser version of discipline, or since this is at the prom, she may just get a warning for something like that.
Hiya, cat. Weird, I still didn't see your date anywhere. Where's Tug?
He was standing next to a candle and his jacket caught on fire.
Yeah, you see how one lie leads to another?
Careful, Robbie. Careful, Robbie. The more this goes on, the more I think at the end, Tug is going to show up and he's going to have all the things that she's described throughout this episode. He needs to be careful.
I'm not lying.
Look, if you didn't want to go to this prom with me, you could have just said so.
And she could have. I mean, that is a true statement. But if this is true, then she was telling the truth the whole time.
You have to make up lies about some fake football player named Tug with a spinning hat and a jacket that caught on fire.
There we go. I knew it. I knew it.
I think I'll put my jacket out.
There it is. There he is.
It's okay. If anybody looks at my jacket, I'll just do this.
Spinning hat.
What now?
Lots of people are starting to leave.
Why? It's not even 10 o'clock.
That is all too real. That does happen in other proms that I've been at. What always happens, and this has happened in multiple different schools, everybody shows up at the beginning or maybe 10 or 20 minutes after it officially begins. Everybody's there. They have the senior walk. They have the prom king and queen, and then they stick around for a little bit longer, and then you have this mass exodus. Every single time, that's what happens. People start to leave, and you'll have probably maybe 2/3 of the people at the entire prom that'll all just leave, and it'll get really, really empty. But you might have an hour or an hour and a half left of the prom, and you have this smaller group that stays until the very, very last minute, until you finally just have to kick them out and say, y'all have to go home. Y'all have to go home. Please leave. The prom is over. That does happen in real life. That is very, very true to life.
Okay, fine. Whatever, everyone can just go. Jade wins.
Excuse me.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think this just happens as a normal course of the prom. I mean, I've seen this happen almost every time.
This prom isn't over until you announce prom king and, queen.
Yeah, that is true, and most people do stay at least for that. That is very true.
You guys wait here. Everybody, please wait! Don't leave! I'm sorry that the prom hasn't gone so great.
I think it has. I actually think it has.
Before you all leave, I'd like to announce our prom king and queen, who you all voted for on the slap.
I'm sure I'm gonna win, right?
It hurts that you doubt me.
Hollywood Art's first ever prom queen is...
Did you see that? I won't go back to it, but I'm fairly certain there were like 5 candidates, and they all had like 3 votes, 4 votes, and then Trina has 999 votes. I think Sinjin would have probably made it a little less obvious that it was hacked.
Jade West! What?
I knew it. When she had that little glint in her eye and she said she was going to announce the prom king and queen, somehow I knew that she was going to switch it to Jade for some nefarious reason. Now, is that fair? No, it's not fair, but neither is what Trina did. Now, being the prom queen, in the grand scheme of things, it's not all that big a deal. It's very fun for that night and for a little while after and thinking about it and wondering who it's going to be, but it very quickly fades away very oftentimes. It's not something you exactly put on a resume or anything like that, but it is a lot of fun in the moment. Okay, I feel sorry for Sinjin. Sinjin did exactly what he was supposed to do here. I guess Trina will find that out eventually when she sees the results or talks to Tori, but neither one is fair. What Tori did was not fair. What Trina and Sinjin did was not fair. It should have gone to whoever rightfully was going to win the vote, or who won the vote before it was hacked.
And Hollywood Art's first ever prom king,
no.
Doug the Diaper Guy!
And I knew she was going to do that. I'm not going to show all of this, but essentially Jade invited some fake entertainer over, and you wouldn't be allowed to do any of that, but the kids are running the prom, and this is perhaps why the kids don't run the prom in real life. Another thing is, and you probably already know this, the prom king has to be a student at the school, typically a senior also, but it for sure has to be a student at the school. You can't have an outside guest that wins prom king.
Let's rock this prom!
Okay. Psycho-it. Okay. Psycho-its. He's just about at a potential firing here. I'm gonna wait and see what he does. The presence of this gas can is what does it for me. And you know what? Come to think of it, I can give him a potential firing here. Why is that? Because he is the director of student activities, and he hasn't been here this entire time. If he is truly in charge of this prom, as far as on paper, the faculty sponsor, that's kind of what Tori made it seem like at the beginning of the episode. If he's not here and all this has happened, that's a potential firing. But he thinks the prom is something totally different, I guess, and that's why he has these tires and this gas can, which raises other issues as well.
Am I late?
Yes, you are. Yeah, I was wondering where the music was going to come from. Every episode of Victorious ends in some sort of musical performance, and I guess this is it. All right, and it definitely sounds like their voices here dubbed over again at a later point. That's always very impressive. And I recognize this part actually from the newer intro to the show, which I usually don't include, but I have seen it before, particularly the last part of it where it's raining like this. I'm pretty sure that comes from this episode. I was kind of wondering where it comes from. Now I guess we know. All right, well, that's the episode. That was a really fun one, I think, because I had a lot to talk about, and a lot in this episode really takes me back to many different high school prom experiences, including at the art school where I worked for 2 years. This was really fun to react to. I give this episode a 10 out of 10. If you enjoyed my reaction, I hope that you did. If you did, let me know in the comments down below. I also appreciate a quick like of the video and subscribing, most importantly, if you're not currently subscribed. I really appreciate your support. It lets me know that I need to keep going with these videos, and as long as you all request that, I will continue to do so. Let me see your support down below and your comments. I really appreciate it. I'm going to leave the video here. I hope you've enjoyed watching. I hope to see you on my next video here on School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.